dropping some knowledge, bring the people together. Time to make a connection. Yeah, right. Time to make a connection.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Making Connections. This is your girl, Aly. I hope everybody's having an amazing day. We are just excited to be alive, to be a part of the land of the living. And so we know that you saw some flyers going forth about different things. And most of those events are weekly events. There's a prayer call every Saturday morning led by the Strong Will survivor. She is a breast cancer survivor, and just a survivor of a lot of things. So she has a prayer call every Saturday. We know that there's a brunch that's happening every Sunday from 12 to 4, Mr. Excitement and DJ Blessed. And so just a lot of things going on. So, but today we just wanted to come together because we know that it is Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and we know that it's celebrated every year close to his birthday, which is January 15th. And so we just want to come and have a conversation about, him having a dream, us having a dream, where the dream lies, where the dream still needs to go. And so me and JT are just going to chop it up today. So JT, how you doing?
Oh, Martin Luther King Day, birthday, holiday. Just blessed to be in the number. What is significant in celebration? What is, we into this day? It's just amazing. Yeah, we gonna have a conversation today about the dream and also the burden that what took and all the things that were emphasized in that. That went along with that, because a lot of times we just get the I have a dream and we don't get the before or after, after the effect or all those things that going on with it. But yeah, it's a blessing, on the TV and humble, true, that obviously and to
Um, JT, let's see. I can't hear you
yeah,
right now. Let me check. Can you still hear me?
yeah, I
Okay. I missed that last part. You were good until that last part. Sorry.
yeah, just closing out. Just thankful to be on the platform and have the opportunity to speak.
Awesome. Like you said, I mean, that speech alone is like he gave it in different places. So there are different versions of it. Some are longer, some are shorter, some are missing, pieces that we thought were in the speech period. But because you give speeches in different places, you give different aspects of it. But the big thing was him having a dream that, because he was he led a non-violent protest for civil rights, and for everybody to have equality, whether it's economics, spiritually, all those different things, for because part of it is talking about men being created equal. And the thing about it is, even if we were created equal, sometimes we weren't treated equal. And so his fight was that so we would all be treated equally, all have the same opportunities, all get access to the same, health, and being able to get back and forth to work, being paid according to, what we did, and not just because of somebody's opinion of what we should be paid. For the right to vote and to be able to be a part of the ones making decisions for our families and for our communities, right?
Yeah, it's all of those things. And when you think about the burden of carrying the weight of that, being in the forefront, stepping out on faith, and understanding that coming along with that, we don't hear about the storms, we don't hear about the thunder and lightning that comes along with that, because there's not a concentration on those things, man. You just stepping in leadership and listening to the speech. You're having even more healthy respect for what it was like to stand on that platform at that time in that era, and to understand what you were trying to put out there in the atmosphere. And one thing that stood out to me that I've been listening to and watching over the weekend is the burden of hate. I didn't want that burden of hate to be upon me, so I choose to love my fellow man. Think about that. The burden of hate is so great that you don't even want that over your spirit, that you want to separate yourself from that, and promote in the atmosphere of love. That within itself is an amazing thing. And that is one of those things that we turn that particular thought and dream into a reality. Because if we breathe more love in the atmosphere, that's how we manifest love in the atmosphere. Because everybody that know the action of love, the action of sacrifice, um, what it means to be, to feel hate and know what that feels like, to know the burden of being mistreated, and understanding is like, yo, this person really doesn't like me because of the color of my skin, because of the air that I breathe. I can't drink from the same fountains. I can't sit in the front, in the same tables that they sit at. Being treated like a disease in human form. Like those things, are all things that actually happen. And that's why, I spoke, this past Friday, and I thought about it, and our elder, our older generation is a generation that went through those times, that can speak on those things. And I'm like, if you're not a sponge of listening, like you don't have to read this in a textbook. There are actual people that are living and breathing in this day and time that can tell you about what it was like to go through those times, coming out of those times, and even being in the midst of those times. So when you think about Martin Luther King, and I have a dream, and I want to see, black people and white people in the same areas, holding the same space. No hate, all love, unity, uplifting positivity, no negativity, no racism, no calling out of names, no beatings, no dogs attacking, none of those things, just promoting human being and mankind. Those things right there, is what's prevalent, Ali, when you think about it. I have a dream. There's so many ways to break down that speech, that moment in time, and so many ways that people were affected, and so many thoughts out here as to what that really means truly.
Right, right. And like you said, that quote, I have decided to stick with love because hate is too great a burden to bear. And, just showing everybody love, showing respect, understanding that we all come from different aspects of life, different, you know, even sects of society and social status. But regardless of where you come from, regardless of the money in your bank account, regardless of where you live, let's treat everyone with respect. Let's just love that person as a person. Let's speak to them with kind words. Let's greet them with the love of God. Let's when there's opportunities for promotion, let's not overlook certain people for promotion if they are qualified to be promoted. Like you said, the segregation back in the day of not being able to sit at the same lunch counters, to use the same restrooms. Okay, now we have overcome that, but have we overcome everything that he talks about in his speeches? As far as like economics, are we all treated fairly economically? Do we still all really have the right to come and go in this society as we please, and not be worried about being profiled or watched? Everything we do, we've come a long way, but do we still have work yet to do? still on mute.
So many times move around, be able to do things, and take those steps to make this world. Think about the times that we're in now, where we're dealing and battling with those things here and now in the present time, where all we want to do is equal rights for all men, not just voting, but jobs and opportunities at ownership and hiring, and the process being what it's supposed to be. We're still battling things that still have something, a motive to fight for. Your voice can still be heard. What makes me ill is those people that don't think their vote counts. Those people that don't think, man, they ain't gonna win anyway. So what's my vote gonna count? It's gonna count because there's somebody that laid their life down, that sacrificed in order for you to be able to have that right. That they didn't have. They didn't see, understood they were not going to see that moment in time, but they were willing to sacrifice the labor of love. So the generations that came after them to be able to do those things. That to me is love on another level. That is the godly love. That is the love that should be all about. When you thinking about something about yourself, you're thinking about opportunities and a blessing that you can be towards all mankind, that you're not going to breathe the air to see. But you want this world to be a better place for those that come after you. That's God given. That's something skilled within. When you're talking about how the movement of that goes, you can't make that up. You can't draw that up. And let me touch on this point, Ali. There's some that I also respect the fact that you can't fully blame. Think about the kids that came up in that era. They weren't born like that. Somebody had to teach them that. And so I recognize that even in the community that I, somebody had to teach that and make that upon your spirit. You know what I'm saying? And for me, it's like, wow. It's like we teach love. There are people that actually teach hate. And it's a
Right.
real thing. It's a real thing. And that's the part that is magnifying, because it's like, yo, I can imagine myself wasting 1 second of my time teaching anyone around me because you can't achieve anything, that's getting anything, and from it, all you're doing is dirtying up the air, muddying the waters of what is supposed to be purified air, and air that we're trying to make spectacular, like love, all in the atmosphere. Why breed hate? Why even put that in your house or put that in somebody's head? It's like, what are we getting from that? What are we growing from that? When you look at some of that stuff from the 60s and alone the late 50s, it's like, it's sad in Revelation. And it's like, to know that our ancestors went through that, and people that had the same blood that run through our veins as well. That right there is troubling. But the reality of that is like, you know what? I walk footsteps that, so that you wouldn't have to walk through those same trouble footsteps. And I laid my life down so that your life would be easier to navigate through. That's powerful, Hallie, for real.
Truly. I mean, he has so many good quotes like, let no man pull you low enough to hate him. Even though they might hate you, he always was a man of peace. Let's do this in a peaceful way. Let's make our voices heard, but we don't have to use our hands to get things done. Let's march. Let's get into the right atmosphere. Let's get the right people on our team, because he talks about there's some white people that were marching with him that believed in the same things that he believed in, and even when you're talking about your vote, one of the quotes is, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. So when we become silent and we don't use our voice, our vote, then that's when things in our society begins to tear down. That's when our family doesn't get all the resources that they need. Our children don't get to go to the colleges they want to because they can't afford it. So we just can't afford. The fight has already begun. Fight meaning the not physical fight. Y'all know what I'm talking about. But he started it, but we have to continue. You know, it's just like any relationship. You don't just meet somebody one day, maybe you fall in love, and then you say I love you, and that's it. No, it's a daily activity in that relationship to keep it going, to keep it strong. And so, just like with this fight of equality, there's still, until it really dissipates, there's work to be done. So, and I absolutely agree with you about the love part, because love casts out all types of and covers all types of hate, and there's a video that I shared on Facebook this morning. It was Viola Davis, and she was talking about her husband, and how he stayed and da 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 da. But one of the things she said was like, hate speaks loud. I don't know. I'm paraphrasing. Insecurity speak loud, but it's time for love to stop whispering. Because everything else that's against us is so loud. But the love that we come with has to be just as loud, has to be just as bold, and has to be just as prevalent, right?
So, starts out as a whisper, a moment. I mean, as you grow and evolve, you're stronger and stronger. And as your love becomes stronger, the more power it develops. It means that now so you can hear it. So you can hear it to its boldness, the way you can really feel it and manifest being yourself. So those emotions that start out loud, they start loud because they're meant to fade away. Things that are stressing, things that cause interruption, those things behind the black. Lose those things, and that's why those things stay quiet. Black. Not all this time. Sometimes you got some loud in the face, and it goes away about that. If I started with more and more, it, it stronger. You get into you truly are building it till you become solid. When we are solid, we're solid that holds in where it needs to be. So don't be afraid of the whispers, because those whispers will turn to a loud, bold speaker. We have to marinate them, allow them to develop, remember them to cook them, to be the crock pot recipe that we wanted to be, and we bring those things to life. So I've never been afraid of whispers.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh, JT left us for a minute, but I'm sure he will be back. Um, but what I was hearing him say, just talking about the crock pot, sometimes you got to let things simmer and things come together. But the thing about it is, but in order to get that robust meal, you have to put everything in there, right? And so, um, I just feel like we have come a long way, absolutely. Do Is there still work to be done? Absolutely. Uh, does the dream still exist? Absolutely. And it's a fight that we all have to fight together. Because the thing about it is, even though I might want the best for my family, I want I want them to have the most opportunities and things like that. Doesn't mean that I don't want somebody else to have the same opportunities. And that's the thing about it. Just like I want my child to have a good education, I want your child to be able to have a good education. I want your child to be able to live well and not struggle on a day to day basis with finances. I don't want your child, your husband, your dad to work 75 years of their life struggling every year, every day to get up and go to a job, and they're there, they show up, they're invested, they do well on their job, they're, faithful to the job, but then they come home and they are not able to eat well, they're not able to keep the lights on. It's stuff like that that I think is, where we still have work to do. There's a lot of people who are working, who are homeless. There are a lot of people who are working, who are living in their cars because they can't afford the rents, the lease payments, they can't afford the down payments, they can't afford the water and the electricity, but they're working, right? So, when I'm talking about we have work to do, we still have work to do in equality and opportunities, right? And hey, JT. And like I was just saying, just because I want the best for my family doesn't mean I don't want the best for yours. JT, can you hear me? Okay, he's still settling in. And so, that's why I wanted to come and have a conversation because I started to just not do a show today. But I was like, no, this is Martin Luther King Day. He gave his life, he marched, he went through so much, he organized so much so that we might have life and have a better quality of life. So I tell brown skinned people all the time, you had two people that sacrificed for you. Jesus sacrificed for you, and then you have people of our color who sacrificed, who marched. And like JT talked about, were lynched, had dogs released on them, water, released on them, but they kept going because there was a purpose behind what they were doing. They were not just trying to create chaos, they were trying to create order, they were trying to create opportunity, they were trying to create a better life for us. They were trying to give us a voice to go and vote and say when legislation is not accurate and not treating everybody to the same level. So it was a purpose behind it. JT, you there? Okay, I think he's still getting settled. But listen. Hey. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. So, what are you thinking about? Just what I don't know if you heard me, but one thing was that just because I want the best for my family, just because I want opportunities doesn't mean I don't want the same opportunities for other people. And then just about the fight and the struggle, it wasn't just to create chaos, but there was purpose behind the mission, purpose behind the assignment for Martin Luther King and all those who marched with him.
Yeah, all those things, all those elements, super important because without that support, without those people there, not just to have his back, but to uplift him and keep him going, we don't have the things that ended up happening. So all those elements went into that, and those are the things that we sometimes forget. In all great things and all great movements in this life, there's always a background of things that you don't know, don't see, or not in the forefront. One, because sometimes those people don't want to be in the forefront, or two, they are well hidden because they are the fabric that goes into making these things happen. And that's the beauty of some of the greatest moments in this life. They were fabricated not just in a selfishness, but people
Right.
thought less of themselves and more of the greater good of the cause, and that's how we've had some real significant movements in this life.
Exactly. And and I just say that it's just never ending. I mean, we still got to keep going. We still have to think about, and even talking about purpose, sometimes we get caught up in that. And we're like, our voice doesn't matter. What my gifts and my talent doesn't matter, but I want to say that it does. I mean, I don't care if it's knitting, I don't care if it's cooking, I don't care if it's writing. Maybe you're not the person who stands before the people and gives prolific speeches like JT does, but still you are the fabric, like JT says. You're the support, you're there. Maybe you're the one who organizes the event. Maybe you're the one who markets the event. Maybe, even like I was talking about, even if you knit, because I'm going to tell you, um, there's a young man he's passed away now, but he used to knit like sweaters and scarves and stuff like that and toboggans. And I'm gonna tell you, that is my favorite toboggan. I have it to this day. I don't really keep up with stuff well, but I keep up with that toboggan is one of my favorites because it keeps me so warm. And the scarf, and I mean, I think about him every season when I have to pull it out. I think about him because he made a difference in my life. He causes me to be warm. He causes me to be able to go out and get dressed up and go out and face the day and whatever's coming my way, knowing that I'm okay. You know what I'm saying? So, no matter what your gift is, no matter what your talent is, there's purpose to it. So, don't be afraid. Sometimes maybe you feel like you're doing it by yourself, but you just got to find your tribe, right? You got to find the people who will walk with you, who will support you on your journey. I know this is kind of everywhere, but it encompasses so much. Go ahead, JT.
Those things happen for a reason. The people that are designed for your path are designed for a reason. All the things that come together to make moments, whether it's speeches, whether it's, confessing strength, faith, all those things have a fabric that is designed with it. And that is the beauty of this life. When you realize and understand where it came from, how those elements came together, when you begin to piece those things together, you begin to realize just how significant things are in this life. And it's like, I did not realize just, what went into those moments happening. But yet, there we are. I'm thinking about, again, referring back to the speech that I did this past Friday. There was so many elements that went into that, putting the program together, piecing together, the right things to go along with it. Like, everything in this life has something to, that pieces and goes along with it and makes it what it's supposed to be. And again, that's the beauty to it. So again, it's okay to, when you're looking at and analyzing, how things happen in this life, just understand that there were things that went along with those moments to make those things as significant as they are. And I have a deeper appreciation for, the March on Washington,
Mm,
the speech the King gave, because think about the elements that it took. That atmosphere, walking in that atmosphere. It ain't like he walked in that atmosphere and it was all love and all peace. He ain't walked in
right.
that atmosphere without death threats, without his family being in danger, life being in danger. Even thinking about the speech where he talked about, you know what I'm saying, if I sneezed, and thinking about, when he was stabbed and how close to death he came, felt it like this close. And you can feel the emotions as he described what that feeling was like. Those things are what I'm talking about matters, because the elements that are around things really define and really give you a clear picture for what it really took for a person to really get in that moment and why that moment is so significant. We see the black and white pictures, but to hear the stories actually gives color and purpose and
Mhm.
meaning to what someone really went through.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Sunday, if he would still been alive, he would have been 94 years old. He unfortunately was assassinated in his journey and in his movement for equality in 1968 at the young age of 39. And but like even Ronald Reagan, he signed this holiday into a law. And Reagan said the holiday was meant to remember King and the just cause that he stood for. He said America is a more democratic nation, a more just nation, a more peaceful nation, because Martin Luther King Jr. became her preeminent nonviolent commander. And so that was a quote from Ronald Reagan in 1983, that America is a more democratic nation, a more just nation, a more peaceful nation because Martin Luther King Jr. became her preeminent nonviolent commander. That's
Wow.
amazing.
Wow. Think about that. That's a real statement. But I want to add to that. Do you know the what is defined as to why we have MLK breakfast? Why is not MLK supper, dinner? However, the significance behind that in research is when King was assassinated. He was assassinated while they had just got room service and breakfast. He was
Mm-hmm.
assassinated shortly after that. Therefore, the meaning of the MLK breakfast and having the breakfast is that he was assassinated while attempting to eat breakfast.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. Wow.
Little tidbit, making connections, TV show. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
giving you real knowledge, but yeah, that is the significance behind the MLK breakfast. And if you go to the hotel where he was assassinated at, which is now Memorial, you will see that the room is still set like it was when he was
Mm,
assassinated, and you will see the breakfast items and them attempting to eat breakfast
wow.
when he was assassinated.
Wow. Now, see, that just makes me, oh gosh, that just makes it a little bit, I don't know, more real, even, because, sometimes we as people are like, God, why we got to get up so early to go to the breakfast? Why everything got to start so early? But we get up early for all kinds of things. We'll get up early for a game, we'll get up early to go take our child and do some ballerina and dance and stuff. But for occasions like this, we're like, whew, can't we start at noon? But now, even understanding the significance of why it's done at breakfast time, why it's done early, that even makes it even more. I'm just like, can't wait till next year and be like every breakfast. Well, not everyone, but y'all know what I'm saying. But it really does bring more significance, and that's what we just don't want you to forget about the significance of this day. Because sometimes, even like with Labor Day and Veterans Day and all that kind of stuff, sometimes we just forget the significance. We think it's a day off or think it's a day to cook out or whatever, but there's significance behind these days that we just cannot afford to forget. Right, JT?
So now we talk about the word evolving, growing, learning. Always something to research. There's always something to look at, and gain further knowledge on the significance of events. I didn't know prior to looking it up that there was some significance tied to that. You just never know, and that's why it's important to do your research, do your reading. Don't be afraid to study, and gain knowledge on that. And anything, my parents were the ones that also told me that was the significance, that was the setting when they went and seen, visited the area. That's one of the things that's in memorandum, and it just, it brings them shines to either deeper light and perspective on, why it's celebrated the way it do, the way it is, and Ali, I'm be honest with you, there are people that are working today, people that are mandated to work today, and there are people that, well, it's a federal holiday and they're not working. But I wonder to myself, do they truly observe this day for what it really is, or do you take for granted and you put some day over other days? This day deserves to be in your upper echelon of observing days, just like the ones that you put and go full fledged in, because it's a significant man moment in history and in celebration, and for what it took, because it also took something to get this thing officially on the docs, on the books. There are people that had to go down that road that don't have their jobs or not in office or not here anymore, that had to advocate for this day, and it took steps in order to get to where it is today. So I don't take that for granted. And I take the day very, very serious because I understand sometimes people in this life not looking for the shine in the moment. Um, they're recognized eternally forever in legacy for what they done during their dash, during their time of purpose, during their moment of living and breathing, and those things I appreciate. So I try to treat art, observed holidays all the same because each one of them have a significance, and I encourage everybody to. Um, and if you don't know, go do your research. Go look it up. You may find something new. You may find something that you did not know that will shine a different light on it and be like, oh, okay. So if I got an opportunity to stay home on an actual holiday, well, I may actually stay home because I understand the significance of the day. Don't just make it black and white. You know what I'm saying? Really do your homework. Really, make it a point to learn something new and not just stay ignorant of the fact that maybe I want to recognize this too. Maybe I want to be in tune with why people actually observe this day.
Exactly. And like you said, it took something to make it happen. And it was actually observed for the first time in 1986, but all it was observed by all states on the first time in 2000. See what I'm saying? So even that's part of his dream because there had been he said in that speech that there was a promissory note that the United States had written and they had defaulted on it. And so there was some work that they needed to do because although all men were created equal, we still weren't being treated equal. So, sometimes it takes a while. And, when you're fighting for something that you believe in, it may not happen overnight. Things may not change overnight. Legislation may not get changed overnight. Just like, there's a group because there's a lot of gun violence going on these days. And so there are groups that are marching about gun violence and, stronger laws for people who are, taking advantage of and not getting guns the right way. So, you know, whew, I'm just saying, y'all, we got some work to do. We got some work to do because even those senseless deaths, people having guns and people getting shot in their homes, they're not even on the streets. They're not part of a gang. They're in their homes. They might be in their cars and they're getting shot. And so, listen, if you don't have that hate in you, if you don't have that desire to wield a gun and to shoot up people, you know, ooh, it comes back to that love. We got to infuse people with love. We got to infuse people with knowledge and education on it's okay about guns, but do you really understand why you need guns? Do you understand what you can do with a gun? It's so much. Go ahead, JT.
Nah, it's a lot. I mean, I just watched a video recently of the young man that lost his life in LAPD incident.
Mhm.
Senseless. We don't have a value of life. In
Yeah,
some instances, we
yeah.
don't have a value in life, and it's a head scratcher as to why. All the things that we've seen, all the things we've been through, why are we still here in 2023 looking and seeing examples of hate and mistreatment towards others? Be honest with you, you don't even have to commit a crime in this day and time to lose your life. Really, the fact that you're living and
Right.
breathing offends some people. And that within itself is super sad on so many different levels. You mean the fact that I'm breathing, that God gave me another opportunity in this life, and you big mad? Are you mad because my skin color is different from yours? Like, again, we have so many elements of things that we can improve on because we are made different. And we were all made the same, the world would be super boring. But we are all made different. We all have unique personalities, unique gifts, unique talents. Why do we not do better about recognizing those things and being mindful that's what makes the world special? Not trying to condemn, critique, and stand in judgment. It is not for man to stand in judgment. It is only for God. Only. But you got men out here trying to play the role and stand in judgment and critique and hate, kill at will. So sad. And it don't have to, and it shouldn't be like that. It is much better when we are unified, when we are talking, uplifting, and showing the action of love. Because it's not enough love, and it will never be enough until we have everybody body in on that. Not just some, but everybody. Hate, there's too much hate. An ounce of hate is too much. We have too much hate in this world. Too much of a not value on life. And until we eliminate that problem in totality, there's gonna always be work to do out. Always.
Always work to do. And that's why I said, that's why we need everybody in this. Like he said, you can't afford to not have an opinion, not uh, go to the polls and vote, not, sometimes, we have those same people in office because we're just like, okay, they've been there for this long. Okay, but maybe it's time to get them out of office and bring some new ideas and new fresh perspectives into office so we can vote on different laws. It should be no reason for somebody to get attacked because they're walking in the neighborhood that you don't think they should be in. Huh? I mean, you don't even stop and ask the questions. Who are you? What are you doing? You just immediately attack. Uh, Really? 2023, we still doing that? No.
What do some people call that? Martial law? Or some kind of. Why do we even have a title to that? Why is that even something
BS.
that is significant? My thing is this: we gotta eliminate the ignorance in this life, eliminate the hate. We've got to, focus more on loving on one another and being unified. Man, you don't understand how temporary this life is. We have people in this life who's significant. Everybody has significance. I speak on it. Genius is common. We all have a genius within us that is meant for us to develop and understand and discover and then utilize that. And you can't do that when you hating and you're trying to abolish a race that you got made up in your mind don't deserve to exist. So you go out of your way to put all your energy into hating and doing whatever you can to try to eliminate the race. Only thing you're doing is adding craziness and mess to this life. I give ultimate respect to all of my ancestors that went through those times when they was being hoses, shot at them and couldn't sit in lunch counters. You gotta take for granted when I'm able to walk in a restaurant and have a nice meal. Don't take that for granted. And I also, when I'm riding, on a bus or on a plane, I don't take for granted the fact that at a certain day and time, people of my color couldn't do that. Wasn't allowed to do that. Nah, you eat out back where the trash cans are. Let me bring it to the back door.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You sit in the back of the classroom. Or you sit on the other side of this where I don't have to touch what you have touched. Again, people went through this so that I wouldn't have to go through it on a consistent basis. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but somebody lost their life so that I didn't have to breathe and endure that every ounce of our day dealing with that. But somebody had to.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take for granted, what that means, because when you look at pictures, when you hear the stories, the reality of that is thank God for those people that took those steps and ask God and hope that they have grace and mercy upon their life. They done something in heroism that they weren't looking for the headlines for, but they established a milestone for us to be able to have the stepping stone to overcome and achieve and be great.
Amen. Woo, they gave. Listen, I've been telling people, even whenever I talk about Veterans Day and stuff like that, I was like, freedom ain't free. It's not free for everybody. Somebody had to give something so we could be free. Military is still, while we're here having this conversation, there's some military um, man or woman fighting to keep us safe while we're having this conversation, doing things that we have no idea that's going on around us to keep us safe. Homeland Security and all those people. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They never take a break. Their offices don't shut down on Martin Luther King Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, or any other day. Somebody is still there working to make sure that we are free. So we have to as well be in the fight to make sure that as many people as can be free are free. And there's another quote from Martin Luther King Jr. It says, "Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights. You will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world to live in." Commit yourself to the noble struggle for equal rights because you will make a greater person of yourself, a greater nation of your country, and a finer world for everyone to live in. Sometimes you got to get in good trouble. Listen, what you think, JT?
And good trouble spurns positive results, meaning that you're not doing it thinking about what I can gain. You're doing it to make lives better for others. To lay down. It's like laying down the coat over the puddle so that the next person don't get wet.
Right.
You were in the front lines. You were on the front lines of that, so that loss of blood is not, you know, all over. If I give a little of mine, so that the next person don't have to spill their blood, don't have to lose their breath, don't have to go through what I had to go through, you know. And some people didn't even see it coming. Some people, in the midst of their sleep and rest, and were taken out viciously, just so. And in the name of hate,
Mm,
I'll continue to breathe love as much as I can across any land, any air that I breathe, because until the word hate is eliminated from the English language, there'll always be a fight to have. As long as MLK Day continues to create and spurn other opportunities and other conversations that need to be had, we need to uplift. We need to celebrate this day
yeah.
because it's one in the stepping stone helping us get to where we want to get to. Please don't take it for granted. I can't, just because we've seen some things happen in this life that we never thought we would live to see, there can be so many other things that we can also see come to pass. But you got to believe, and you got to have a faith that says, you know what, I trust my God, and that my God will cover and order my steps. And whatever his will shall be done,
Right.
I'm in good and in peace with it because God got me.
Yeah. Yeah. And even talking about God, and the thing about it is forgiveness. And this brings another quote: "We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us. When we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies." So again, we have to infuse our lives with forgiveness, with love, with positivity, and it's a daily thing. It is. Um, and so, just like JT was saying, we just got to keep doing it. We control the narrative of our journey, of our story. One of my favorite scriptures is, "We are living epistles read of all men." And so to me, I always end that question for myself: what do I want my story to be? What do I want, when people talk about me 50 years from now, what will they say? Will they say that I stood for equality? Will they say that I stood for justice? Will they say I fought in the cause? So in being a living human being, a living epistle, What do you want your story to be? How do you want to be remembered in this thing called life?
That's it. I mean, that's the nuts and bolts of this thing. What are you going to do in between the dash? What significance of your life and your purpose is it going to be? You have and control the narrative on that. If you drop the ball, it's because you dropped the ball. You got a made up mind, a made up spirit that you want to make a difference in this life. Me and Aly get on, make it to the next TV, and we made up in our mind that somebody and one person is impacted and inspired by what we've said. That's a victory toward the good for all men. And it's the goal and the motivation every time out. If somebody gets something out of the shows that we do, that's what manifests, that's what makes it worth it. That's what motivates us to keep these things going. One. One person. And then it's like a domino effect. Let it all sway and go down. Let it be. Let the people receive the message of what God has put into this platform, put into our spirits, and put out here on these airwaves. Not about myself, not about Aly. It's about bettering our people, bettering our audience. You listen to us today. We don't want you to leave like how you came. Matter of fact, the disclaimer is you listen to this show, you will not leave here like how you came. That within itself is impact and impactful. And knowing that you can make a difference. And understanding that this life doesn't have to be like you walking in, you the only one that's got the dark cloud over your head. Let's bring the sunshine into your life. Let's spread joy, love, peace upon the land, love all over the atmosphere. For myself and Aly, to our audience. And you tap and go tell somebody, and tell somebody, go tap somebody, and tell somebody you love them. Fuse the world with atmosphere with the love. Truly.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you are so right. Because hey, I was impacted today. Just the fact that what you told me about why it's the MLK breakfast. That impacted me. That changed my opinion about getting up and going to the breakfast and why it's so early. So now that's not even in my spirit anymore. Next year I'm gonna be like, what time we getting up? Okay, let's get up. Let's make sure we're there on time. We get there early enough to get a good seat, and we can engage and bring somebody with you. So this show impacts us while we're doing it. So, we definitely are here for you all. We definitely want to be encouraging. We definitely want to give you information that makes a difference in your life, that inspires you to go live your best life, to remind you that you have opportunities. Don't let anybody tell you what you can't do. They're going to tell you, but it's on what's up here. What do you believe you can do and can't do? What do you believe God has given you the capacity to handle and to facilitate? You know what I'm saying? So don't just hear what you can't do. But if there's something on the inside of you that's driving you every day to get up and to believe for more and to do more, do it. Listen, me and JT, we still in our process as well. So, but I want to encourage you. Life is worth living. There's too many people dying senselessly, the gun violence. There's too many people we're hearing about taking their lives and suicide. And it's because they feel hopeless. And I want you to know that God is still God. God is still on the throne. There is still hope. There's still a way. He gives us a way of escape. So, it might not happen overnight. You might not get the solution in one setting where you tried to figure out something different and it didn't work out. I've tried many things that didn't work out, but I'm still here because I still know that there's a purpose for me on this in this earth. And so I just did had to figure out how to do it. I never would have thought that I would have this platform and that I would be coming before the people twice a week. I never thought I would be doing that. But I had to take a moment and listen for God's direction. And so here we are, and we're here for you. Go ahead, JT. I got a little carried away.
No, you good. I mean, everything you said hit the nail on the head, and I follow that up with, can't stop, won't stop. You can say whatever you want to say against me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
That part.
Only I can stand in my own way by blocking my own blessings, by speaking negative and being negative, and exercising the actions of negativity in the world. I will not and shall not do that. I will not be a part of the problem. I'm going to be part of the solution, the resolution, the remedy. Can't stop, won't stop. Long as I got breath in my body, long as we continue to do these shows, long as we continue to be active in our communities, long as I got a praying hands and a praying tongue and a mouth and a mentality to know better and do better. Got to keep this thing moving. Got to keep this thing rolling. You got to continue to move forward and taking those steps forward and not 2 steps backwards. And understanding that if we see something that's not right, speak on it. You never know. That person might not have the same voice, same boldness, same courage that you have.
Right.
Got to be able to be there for one another, uplift one another, encourage one another. Be there for your fellow man, because you never know when there's a day that you may need your fellow man to be strong for you.
Mm. You better say that. Listen, because there have been some days, and I won't even say that was 2 years ago, 5 years ago. It might have been some days recently, like yesterday, where I had to call JT or text and be like, "Look, pray for me, okay?" We just never know what people are going through, so please do your best to just treat everybody really the way you want to be treated. But I think, that's kind of a scary statement because sometimes we don't know how we want to be treated. We don't know how to love ourselves. So in essence, that's a scary statement because maybe sometimes we are treating people the way we want to be treated, or we think we should be treated because we've never been treated well. But it's time, like Viola Davis said in her video, it's time for love to stop whispering. It's time for love to be bold. It's time for love to speak out loud. It's time for love to really be an action word. It's time for love to show up, right? So listen, we're here for you. We're making connections. We're here every Saturday at 12 noon and every Monday at 2 p.m. Follow us on Facebook, turn on your notifications so you know we go live. We really are inspired to bring these conversations to the table to help people along the way. I don't just, we don't just do this or come and have a show just to show our faces, but we really try to be mindful about the guests that we have on, the topics that we talk about. So if there's something you would, like for us to bring to the table, or a guest that you think would be great for the show, definitely reach out to us. You can reach us at info@aliciajohnson.com, and or you can just go ahead and schedule it through Calendly, and that's calendly.com/making connections TV. So JT, tell everybody how they can reach out and follow you.
Yeah, it's basic, kept it simple. James Sherman Thompson on Facebook, JT underscore Big Woo Radio on IG, JST at JST Productions on Twitter, at JST Productions on Twitter. Email JT at BigWooRadio.com. Those are the things, those are the handles, those are the social media links to reach us on. Again, be blessed, be easy, keep God first in all that you do. Understand that it was the 2 steps that you took and went forward to allow you not to slide back. Keep your feet solid on the ground, and remember, the more love we infuse in the atmosphere, the much better the air quality will be.
Amen. And we're going to end it right there because we, as always, are going to leave you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a great day, everyone. God bless you. Talk to you later, JT.
Time to make a connection. some